Casual Takes, a podcast hosted by your boy, Stephen Pepper, here to casually talk sports. This episode is brought to you by no one. Hey, I know, guys, it's been a long time. It's been since the Super Bowl show where I've been on here giving you my takes. I know. Where have I been? Well, listen, guys. I've been busy with school, so I did low-key postpone the show and other extracurricular activities. Like I have a lot of clubs and other publications I write for, so sometimes I just can't do the podcast. But this week, dude, I don't know what I had. I don't want to get tested because I don't want to quarantine. I kind of self-quarantine myself for the whole week. Dude, I was so sick this week. I mean, I wasn't deadly sick, but I was in my bed with some chills. I was super congested. It was brutal. I didn't go to class all week. I couldn't have a show, and I kept pushing the show back because I couldn't come on here unless I had snot running down my nose. It would have been disgusting. But we're here now. I mean, I'm sorry. We're here now. And I'm not talking about the Lakers if that's what someone wanted to come on here and talk about. We're talking football today. Listen, yeah, the Lakers did lose. I'll put it out there. I didn't have a TikTok post-game show, instant reaction, so I'll put a little word out for the Lakers. Yeah, we did lose. Lakers did lose. I'm not going to count the game because LeBron James didn't play. Especially when it's against a team like Golden State with a bit of a size and a bit of an experienced team. We need LeBron against a team like Golden State. And it clearly showed. The Lakers front line with Anthony Davis not in the paint got worked. The Lakers defense outside of Anthony Davis was horrible. And I think a guy like LeBron James in that lineup, bit bigger size, can handle more of those rolls from I think Trace Jackson Davis got damn near 20 Draymond Green rolls. LeBron would be better in that position. I'm not going to count this game. It's another one step forward, two step back type game for the Lakers where they won all those games before the break, and now they have this, what I call a double loss, where you lose to a team that not only hurts you in the win-loss column, but also hurts you again because they're right behind you. So they get a double jump in the standings because not only do you lose, they win. So it's a double loss. I wish LeBron would have played, but he's going to play tonight against the Spurs and hopefully on Sunday against the Suns. So we get 2 wins to kind of erase that and Golden State can go on a losing streak. But I'm talking football today. It's probably going to be the last predominantly football show until the draft, unless or free agency, unless some huge football news breaks. But we kind of got lobbed a little football news a couple days ago. I couldn't talk about it instantly, but I think it's still time worthy where I can talk about it now because I was sick. Justin Fields. This whole Justin Fields-Caleb Williams debate, by the way, I think is kind of getting overplayed now, but Justin Fields kind of threw his name back in the headlines. I'm not going to talk about the situation. I was waiting to talk about the situation to the draft because I think everyone has put their take on the Fields versus Williams debate. But Justin Fields a couple days ago went on the St. Brown Brothers podcast, and he was talking about a bunch of things. I didn't listen to the entire podcast, but the clips that I listened to was when Fields was talking about the Bears and his situation and the trade rumors. He said a lot of things about him following the Bears and following the NFL, and Fields does not like the trade rumors surrounding his names. He just wants them to end. He doesn't like seeing football or his name on the timeline. Let me tell you something, Fields. If you don't want to hear trade talks, then here's a suggestion. How about you go out there and throw for more than 170 yards a game? Or, I don't know, win more than 30% of your starts. That's just a suggestion, Fields. I think the funniest thing from all of last season was that Fields all of a sudden goes from bad to and now half of the Chicago is split, wanting to keep Justin Fields for another year like he's their guy. So let me pull up these stats because I'm so confused why Chicago's now all in love with Justin Fields. It's a little ironic because I'm wearing an Ohio State hoodie today. I was never a Fields guy, by the way, so don't say oh, ironic, you're wearing an Ohio State hoodie. I was never a Fields guy coming out of college. So let me read his stats from his improved stretch. It was 7 games post-injury. So here are Fields' stats from his improved stretch. It was 7 games after injury. 61% of his throws. 5 TDs, 3 picks. Less than 200 passing yards a game. And he did all of that against mid-at-best defenses. So did he improve? I mean, I can't really tell because unfortunately for Fields, those stats are very similar to his career numbers. We just got to stop acting like Fields was a rookie last season. Fields had 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 years to flash elite quarterback franchise potential, and he just didn't. I'm not saying that Fields is a bad quarterback. If you're Atlanta right now, I would lob a pick for him to be my QB. but he's going on to his last season of his rookie deal. And you got to pay Fields after that. And I don't feel comfortable paying for him. And like sooner or later, he's going to start falling off the Bears' timeline. And I don't feel comfortable with my franchise quarterback auditioning his fourth year. Your franchise quarterback should not be auditioning in his fourth season. You should know by year 2. Like if you're a casting director, put yourself in the shoes of a casting director. Why would you go with an actor for a role when he's now auditioning for that role for 4 times? Like, bud, you got to break the news to him. You're just not going to get the part. We're going with someone else. So, like, why would I pick an unproven quarterback going into his 4th season when I got to pay him soon, when I can just reset the clock on a guy who I think has a better chance, and so does, like, every smart dude in the NFL at being an elite quarterback? And I think, this whole thing, it's funny because a lot of people in Chicago, like the pro Fields people in Chicago would tell you, oh, trade down and get a haul. Let's get assets and weapons like Marvin Harrison Jr. and build a team around Fields. Yeah, that's cool and all. But if this recent Super Bowl, if that proved anything to us, is that you need an elite quarterback to win the big game, no matter how great the roster is. And I think Caleb Williams or Drake May puts the Bears in a better position to have an elite quarterback. Like the Marvin Harrison, the weapons around Fields, that's fine, but that's only going to take the Bears so far, maybe to like a 7th seed. And if you're Chicago, I know you don't go to the playoffs all the time and you want to see a playoff, but if you're going to treat the 7th seed like your Super Bowl, go ahead. The game in the NFL is to go to the Super Bowl and win the game, not be a 7th seed. And you need an elite quarterback. And Caleb Williams has a better chance of being elite than Justin Fields. Listen, I'm not saying that Fields is bad. I'm not saying that Fields is bad. I've been saying for the longest, if I were Pittsburgh or if I'm Atlanta, I will lob a 2nd or a 3rd round pick to go get Fields right now because Fields would be the best quarterback in my quarterback room. I would take Fields. I still think he has potential. He's still young. He has traits. He's one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league. He has a strong arm. Not everything is there with the intangibles, but he still has some potential. But my issue with Fields is that he's going to be auditioning in his 4th season. And your quarterback shouldn't be auditioning his 4th season if you think that quarterback is going to be your franchise guy. Because look at around the league. All the teams with young franchise guys, they all proved it in a season, maybe 2, given how bad their situation was. Even guys like C.J. Stroud proved it in like 3 games. And C.J. Stroud's situation isn't that great. It's not San Francisco great. Justin Fields, even when it gets like a DJ Moore, remember when I said beginning the season in March last year, about same time last year, I said when they brought in DJ Moore and traded down, drafted guys, got picks, I said this was a prove it or losing season because I think Justin Fields has better weapons than he ever had in his career. DJ Moore is a great wide receiver, decent backs, Cole Kmet, improved-ish offensive line, and he's still putting up similar numbers to the rest of his career. So, yeah, I think in the end, to do full circle on my take from last year, yeah, I think Justin Fields didn't do enough to prove that he's their franchise guy. And if a guy like Justin Fields is on the board, I mean, a guy like Caleb Williams is usually at the board when you pick number 1. I'm picking Caleb Williams to put my team in a better position to win the Super Bowl because I need an elite quarterback to do so. Okay, let's talk about another quarterback and kind of clarify what I said about on last show. So last show, I said after the Super Bowl that the San Francisco 49ers this decade have been held back from winning the Super Bowl because of their quarterback situation. And that includes Brock Purdy. And a common excuse I got from Purdy defenders is, how can you put so much pressure on a quarterback to elevate the 49ers to win a Super Bowl when it's just his 2nd season? Listen, I want to say this. I'm not saying that Purdy can't get better. I think with experience and just more reps, he'll get better at seeing the field and stuff like that. But let me ask you this. How much better do you think he'll truly get, though? Because let's not act like Purdy is this project with superstar upside. He was drafted Mr. Irrelevant. He played 4 years in college. And he went to the most quarterback-friendly system in all the league. This isn't Anthony Richardson. A 1 year at Florida, goes to a poor Colts team, and is a raw athlete. So my concern with Purdy's development is his lack of great physical tools. I think his biggest weaknesses are he struggles under pressure and consistent big-time playmaking. Well, unless some miracle growth spurt happens, he's not going to get any taller, nor is he going to get more mobile. I will be fair to Purdy, though. I think his biggest strength is delivering accurate passes on time in the offense. He does that better than Jimmy G. He is much better than Jimmy G. But what about when it's time to pay Brock Purdy? And when you pay quarterbacks, he's no longer going to be surrounded by a plethora of Pro Bowl targets. What about when Brandon Ayuk needs to get paid and you got to pay Purdy? Ayuk's becoming one of the better wide receivers in this league. Or when Deebo Samuel's out with an injury. We saw this season when Deebo Samuel's out in Cleveland, against Cincinnati, against Minnesota, Purdy had by far his worst games of his career. Or what happens when a Warner goes or a Bosa goes because of contracts. Listen, if this Super Bowl proved anything, I said this last segment actually, now thinking about it, but if this Super Bowl proved anything, it's that no matter how loaded the roster is, you need an elite quarterback to win, especially if your opponent has one to win that game. Like, think about my lifetime, last 20, 21 years. Brady, 7 Super Bowls. Manning's got a couple. Big Ben and Russell Wilson, they got a couple between each other. They were elite quarterbacks in their era. Say what you want about Eli Manning not being elite. Listen, when he had to beat Tom Brady twice, he made all-time great throws. Now, there are 2 historic outliers who were never elite, Nick Foles and Joe Flacco, but they had some of the most elite playoff runs of my lifetime. So basically, you have to be 90% of the time, since you have to be an elite quarterback to win the Super Bowl in today's NFL, or you have to have but you can't rely on the historic outlier. But if you want to be the historic outlier, your quarterback has to have an all-time elite playoff run. He has to fake being elite. And Purdy last postseason didn't look elite. I think that since Purdy is going to his 3rd season, people are being overly optimistic that he can make this elite jump like what we expect from other young quarterbacks. But I think we have to understand that sometimes quarterbacks are closer to their ceiling in year 2 than we realize. And there's a good chance that, what I'm trying to say is, there's a good chance that what we saw this season from Purdy is mostly who he is. I'm not saying he can't get better, but mostly who he is. And the issue and the overall point is, if Purdy doesn't become elite, especially if he loses those weapons, then the 49ers ceiling will be hard capped. That's the point I'm trying to get across. I don't think Purdy's bad. I said last show, he had an excellent season. And he's one of the 15, 17 best quarterbacks in the league, probably pushing 15. He had a fine Super Bowl. But what we've seen in my lifetime is that you need an elite quarterback to win that game. And my issue with Purdy is I'm having a hard time, not seeing that he can't, but I'm having a hard time seeing a world where Purdy becomes that elite quarterback. That's all I'm trying to say. So if he doesn't become elite, then that Super Bowl ceiling will be capped. Sometimes, man, you're just closer to your ceiling in year 2 than people realize. And you can't he's not this like Anthony Richardson, sky's the limit when you go into year 2. And it's not going to be the situation for Purdy. But I appreciate everyone for tapping this show, following the channel, Some Casual Takes. Next show, I don't know what next show is, because on Monday, I'm supposed to go on Player's Choice, go on the panel and do a little segment. So I don't know what Monday's show is going to look like, because I got an exam on Monday. And then I also... I got to go on Players. I got an exam. Monday's show might be tough. But until next show, though, make sure you follow my channel. Some Casual Takes the handle for everything, and just have notifications on until then. But until next show, I'll see you guys.